in this room. I don't know. Does he have anything to say then? No. Guess he should have been here, right? Probably should have come. So we've got a group of Texans up here. We'd love to hear your questions. All of this is being recorded on our live stream. Several networks are pulling from our live stream, so you guys' voices will be heard not only by the senator and his staff, but by other people around the country who are looking to see, are you going to hold those accountable who aren't listening to your opinions? Because 2014 is right around the corner. All right, so I'll give it back to Katrina and we can start the discussion. But thank you very much for being here.
Okay, so as you know, our senator does not want to face the crowd. So we're going to take the crowd to him. Whitney, what do you think is the reason that Senator Cornyn does not want to come? Because you've outlined some very interesting votes here. Let's see. Raise taxes on 77% of taxpayers. Block the best conservative budget proposed in the Senate. The Wall Street bailout. Increase the federal minimum wage. Spends billions of dollars on corporate handouts and food stamps. Anybody remember that farm bill? And pass the largest entitlement expansion since Medicare. Is that very conservative? No. Whitney, what's your take?
Well, I think these guys, like I mentioned earlier, they get to Washington and they get leadership positions and they start becoming beholden to special interest groups and donors and other people, and they forget that when they come back to Texas, they're actually beholden to you guys. And so he's avoiding this town hall because, frankly, I think he doesn't want to look into the eyes of the people he's accountable to. He did a Google Hangout the other night where y'all could see him, but could he see you? I don't think he could. And pre-screened the questions that he was willing to answer instead of allowing for an open forum. So tonight's not scripted, it's not pre-screened, it's whatever you guys want to say to him, and I think that's what he's avoiding. Real answers, those are tough, right? The truth, it hurts.
Okay, so we have this problem, we keep hearing the pundits talk about, well, if we do this, if we don't pass this continuing resolution, there'll be this looming government shutdown. So let's talk about the myths behind the government shutdown. Ken, what's going on with that?
I'll be happy to talk about that. For those of you that have been listening to the rhetoric from the leadership, and I use that term very loosely, of the Republican House and Senate, you would think that in 1996 the Republicans lost everything, and they went down in flames. Right? That's the picture that they paint of where we're at if there's a government shutdown. Does anybody here know how many House members how many Republican House members lost their seats in '96 after this shutdown? Does anybody know? It was 9. 9 lost, and if I remember correctly, 4 new senators were elected. In this supposed environment where a shutdown is poison to the Republicans. The Republicans held on to the House. They didn't lose the House. And keep in mind, in 1996, the inspiring leader at the top of the ticket was Bob Dole. So I kind of think that might have had something to do with the fact that we didn't do so well. So they didn't lose the House. They didn't even lose very many seats, and they gained seats in the Senate. I believe, I'm somewhat reluctant to pass dispersions and make decisions about what people, or make representations about what's motivating people. But I'm going to tell you, if I do not believe for 1 second that that's why they don't want to do this. I believe it has a lot more to do with, for example, Senator Cornyn. If I understood the numbers correctly, he got $600,000 from the healthcare industry in this cycle. And $600,000 is a lot of money. So, and let's be honest, John Cornyn's in no risk of losing his Senate seat. And most of those senators are not in any risk of losing. So it has nothing to do, in my opinion, with the shutdown.
New blood.
Thank you. So back to, yes. Okay, sure, I'm coming to you next. Okay, so we know the House and Congress have to do this together. A lot of the excuses we get from Congress is, well, we can't do it by ourselves because the Senate has to go along with us. But my question is, why are we afraid to fight for this issue? I recall in 2009, the way we got this piece of legislation is because Democrats fought for it. And I recall the House receiving the majority of Republicans when we, the grassroots, snatched the gavel out of Nancy Pelosi's hand, said, get rid of Obamacare. So why are Republicans afraid to get rid of it? Grant, what do you think?
The answer to your question is easy. It's all about money, folks, and the jig is on us. So they asked us why don't they want to fight? We're the only fighters here. And so the sad reality is most of Americans are not fighters. They don't care. They're not here on a Saturday when you could be at the pool with your families. They aren't. And so the bottom line is they're home watching American Idol at night. And so I still believe that America is the greatest nation in the world. Okay? So it's not up to those in Congress. We're the ones who put them there. So let's just forget about it. Stop complaining about John Cornyn and Kenny Marchand and Pete Sessions and all the rest of them. Because they're not going to change. They're a ruling class of career politicians who put self-interest over national interests every day of the week. And so what we need to do is what Freedom Works is doing and what Heritage Action is doing is what Ken does. I see Ken out and Katrina on a Tuesday night in the most bizarre places putting up a fight. Thank you. Thank you. And so here's the challenge that I ask all of you. Go out to your friends. Go tell your friends that are watching American Idol and not Fox News. Go tell them what the real deal is. Do you know this Obamacare? We're all against it, right? So it's preaching to the choir. We get that. But do you know that there are other agencies and other bureaucrats put in place by Obamacare that took away the power of Congress? So there are rules that will be, in fact, laws made by bureaucrats in Washington that our elected leaders had nothing to do with. It's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. So it's on all of you, it's on us, it's on everyone sitting at this table. Nothing will change unless we say the time for change is now. And so thanks for being here.
So here's a little bit of the good news.
The right hand gets tired.
Before the first revolution, John Adams and 4 other of our founders went into a room, locked the door, and had this discussion. Are we going to allow the king to continue to oppress us, tax us, take our things, invade our privacy? And they said no. And at the same time, they only had 1/3 of the people in the country on their side. There are more than 5 people in this room today. And we have half of the country on our side today. 2014, they need to hear us again. As Grant said, now's the time, because I'm afraid by the time 2016 gets here, it might be too late. We have 1 month to convince Pete Sessions to not impose a closed rule using his authority as the House Rules Committee Chairman and defund Obamacare. Period. And we need to demand from Senator John Cornyn to stand with Senator Ted Cruz on every issue he's fighting for today. Texas is the greatest state in the nation. We are the most conservative state in the union, and every other grassroots group that I have met with all across this country say Texas is leading the way. And we need to hold up to that and hold these people accountable. Let's get to your your questions. After all, this is about you. And this is a citizens' people's town hall for John Cornyn. Remember, he will hear your question. And I'm going to let Wendy take it from here.
I see an active question asker right here.
My name is Joe Christian. In regards to the continuing resolution, both Senator McConnell and Senator Cornyn on this Wednesday night teleconference, they're saying that Obamacare is permanent legislation, and whether or not the government shut down, Obamacare will still be funded.
I'll be happy to take that. They are correct they are technically correct, but there's a big but on the end of that. Yeah, I'll repeat the question. The question is this: the establishment, McConnell, Cornyn, and the rest of them are selling the idea that, well, if there's a government shutdown, then Obamacare will continue to move forward, and that is correct. What they've put forth, though, is a straw man argument, because we don't want a shutdown. Okay, we're not asking for a shutdown. What we're asking for is a bill that defunds Obamacare but funds the rest of the government. See, so I would put it to y'all, if they're making what they're doing is they're making up an argument that no one else is making. None of us are arguing for a government shutdown. What we're saying is that we are advocating that the House and Senate, or at least the House, say to Obama, you have to pick Obamacare or funding the government. One or the other. So that's a technically correct statement, but it's, as most half-truths, it's also half of something else. So.